Carina's challenge Inhumans is not bad. Let's get into it. How's it going, everybody? robvonshoe here. We're going to be going over what my experience was for Carina's challenge, the Inhumans challenge, including how many revives I wound up using, how many pots you can expect to need to save to be able to run this, my mastery setup, and who I used and when. Now, to get started, this is the mastery setup that I was running. Medusa is my primary champion that I'm using for the vast majority of the Inhumans challenge, so I wanted to build my mastery setup around her and her kit and her abilities. So it's very, very, very offensive heavy. So I've got 1 point in strength, 4 in greater strength, 3 points in courage, because at some point, without fail, I'm going to be sub 50% health. So I want that extra attack. I've got full damage masteries active. She's immune to the poison, so I've got 3 points in liquid courage, and the double edge winds up falling off after a few seconds anyway. I'm going to be trying to cycle through my special 3s to be able to keep up the armor shattered, to be able to inflict extra bleed damage, which the 5 points in deep wounds comes in handy. And by having 4 points in assassin, once they get into assassin range, well, I'll be having a right good time. Defensively, I don't have a whole lot going. I've got 4 points in block proficiency, just, you know, to help a little bit extra with that. But for the entire challenge here, I'm going to be bringing the fight to my opponent. So the same goes with the proficiency tree. Maxed out my stun just to maximize the amount of time that they're stunned for. And of course, got dexterity turned on because you're gonna need it. This works for all of the fights save for Magik, and Magik, that's because I used Quake, and this would eat Quake alive. So it's cheaper for me to reset my masteries for the Magik fight for Quake and then reset it again for the rest of the match than it is to just keep throwing pots and pots and pots and pots at Quake. I think the most challenging part about the Inhumans challenge is just how many of the 4-star Inhumans you have ranked up. I went into it having all of my Inhumans maxed out at rank 5. That way they're all able to help and contribute once Medusa eventually gets KO'd, and they're there for more than just synergies. If you had to pick and choose though, Medusa has to be maxed out, Quake has to be maxed out, and everybody else is quasi-optional. Karnak probably is the next best of the lot, and then Black Bolt and Kamala Khan are nice for cleanup, but they aren't going to be pulling a lot of the weight. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to go down the list quick, go over how many revives I used for each fight. If you're going to be budgeting out revives for yourself, I would double or triple the amount of pots needed based off of the revives, just because you're going to want to be as topped off as possible to live as long as possible, especially for Medusa, keeping up that armored shattered bleed phase. So starting off with Red Hulk. Red Hulk is pretty straightforward. I wound up using 5 revives. I didn't keep track of legitimate KOs and Labyrinth BS KOs. It's all wrapped into one here. This, as far as I'm concerned, is a pretty straightforward challenge. Old Man Logan took 2 revives. Elektra, I do have a word of warning. Since we've got the full damage masteries active, I forgot at first that she has a huge ability accuracy reduction and wound up going to try and parry. That did not work, and I took a KO to the face. Elektra was 3 revives, so just be mindful of that. Ms. Marvel, 3 revives. Unstoppable Colossus was 2. I ran into a symbioid that was a easy peasy solo right there. Vision was 4, Gwen was 3, Cyclops was 2, Falcon was 4 with a team revive at that point, Gamora was 3, and then we come to Magik. So basically everybody up until this point I was using Medusa. The idea there is to get the armor shattered on them active, throw the special 3, keep that armor shattered active, and then just start proccing bleeds all over the place. Because we got deep wounds turned on all the way, that's going to be doing a huge amount of damage, plus because we invested so many points into Fury and Fury potency, because Medusa has 6 Furies thanks to the Inhumans family synergy, she's just going to be doing absolutely melty kinds of damage for a 4-star. Magik, though, that does not work, because Magik, being a Mystic champion, automatically has problems with Medusa, plus her Limbo basically one-shots you. This is where Quake comes in handy, and you're going to want to Quake and Bake this fight. I wound up resetting my Mastery preset, getting rid of Liquid Courage. I still kept Double Edge, because that added damage you get because of that is worth losing that little bit of health off the start of the fight. It is a very long and very boring fight because you are Quake and Baking against a wall for the entire time. If you mess up once, it's a one-shot. So Magik wound up taking 8 revives. Most of that is due to just running out the clock, and, you know, that's that. Getting back to basics, though, resetting the mastery back for Medusa going up to War Machine was 5 revives, and that's just because of that special 1 chip damage that really adds up quick. Ant-Man was 3. I wound up using Karnak a lot for Ant-Man, just because of the glancing, wound up having problems with Medusa's armor break. X-Pool Dead Force was 3, Daredevil was 2, Venom was 5, just because he just did not want to throw his special attacks, and I got backed up against the wall more times than I care to admit. Iron Fist was 4, and I think that's just because at that point I'm just tired and over it. Civil Warrior was 3 with an extra team revive, and then we get to Maestro, which wound up being 9 revives with a team revive. So overall, it was about 72 revives. If you're going to budget it, I would probably say 80. If you really want to be on the safe side, 90. Just depends how many team revives you have as well. I double or triple that for pots just to get, again, top yourself off as much as possible. And then just, you know, go to town. Now, my thoughts coming out of it. Of the 3 Labyrinth challenges, this one was my favorite, more so than the Sabretooth challenge, and then certainly more so than that BS Star-Lord challenge. I think a lot of that came because I had all the champions ranked up already. I took Kamala Khan up to rank 5 just to top off, but everybody else was maxed out. The Karnak buff is really nice as well because that gives him a whole lot extra utility as well and makes him a viable, useful member of the team. And it also re-inspired my love for Medusa. Like, once she has the synergies and she's up and running, it's so much fun. It's so much fun seeing a 4-star being able to melt champions like this with this kind of a health pool. It makes me really excited to play my 6-star version now again. I'm still not the biggest fan of Labyrinth for 4 stars in terms of like endgame challenge. I think there's still a lot of nonsense tied into it, but at least this time around, it felt a lot more expected, I suppose, with the amount of revives you need to use, because everybody's like, yeah, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1 revive. It's like, okay, that's fine. It's expected, right? It's not BS in your face. If you're looking to do this challenge here, I would save this one for last, just because this one is the most fun. Go off on a high note, especially coming off of the Star-Lord challenge. It is a walk in the park compared to that one. But who did you guys wind up using for this? Who was your favorite fight? And how do you gauge this one in terms of the fun, the fair, and the BS factor? Let me know in the comment section below. We'll catch you guys next time. I'm robvonshoe. Take care, everybody.